Hello, my name's Jason. Welcome to the channel. This is part 4 of a 4-part series on Philemon. So far, we've covered context, structure, and language. Today, we'll look at some other biblical passages to help inform our understanding of Paul's heart and mind behind the letter, starting with Deuteronomy 23:15. You shall not hand over to his master a slave who has escaped from his master to you. Yes, hello? What do you mean? That's exactly what Paul is doing. In Acts 22, Paul describes himself as a Jew educated under Gamaliel, strictly according to the law of our fathers. This means that Paul was an expert concerning Torah. How then, being as devoted as Paul was, could he do something so specifically prohibited? The answer is conversion. Paul has experienced the risen Lord in such a powerful way that it's transformed his relationship to the law. In the book of Deuteronomy, there's a specific section that deals with who's in and who's out of the assembly of the Lord. There would still be evidence of adherence to these laws at the temple in Paul's day. For example, the court of the Gentiles was outside the temple and was as close as non-Jew converts could approach to worship God. This is from Deuteronomy 23:3. No Ammonite or Moabite shall enter the assembly of the Lord. But in Galatians, referring to those to whom faith had come, Paul writes that there is neither Jew nor Gentile, emphasizing the supremacy of faith over biology, race, nationality, and ancestry. The next level was the court of women. You had to be specifically male to get past this point. Even naturally born males who had been emasculated were not allowed entry. But to this, Paul writes, there is neither male nor female. If you are in Christ, your gender is now irrelevant and cannot hinder your approach to the divine presence. The next level of the temple was the court of the Israelites. This court surrounded the sanctuary, and it's where sacrifices were made. If you were a male Jew, you could enter into this place to make your sacrifice, but your sacrifice had to be handled by a priest, which was a hereditary position. Only they were allowed access to the inside of the sanctuary. This is addressed in Deuteronomy as it stresses legitimate birth. But in Galatians, Paul is the bearer of good news. Now all, regardless of who their parents were, would have equal access to koinonia. So while the Jewish women could get closer than the Gentiles, and the Jewish men could get closer than the Jewish women, and the priests could get the closest of the Jewish men, Paul is excited to announce that now that faith has come, there is no longer any distinction between Jew or Gentile, slave or free, male or female. They are all one in Christ Jesus. Which brings us to Onesimus, who is a slave. The law forbids Paul to send him back to Philemon. But because of Paul's conversion and his new outlook towards the law's restrictions, he doesn't just send Onesimus back with a message. He's sending Onesimus back as a message. And the message couldn't be more clear. He's not sending a slave back to his master. He's sending a brother back to the fellowship. Faith has come to Onesimus, and through that faith, he's a child of God, worthy and qualified of all the blessings offered by the assembly of God's people. And that'll preach.